Welcome everybody to the second webinar in our series on certification. So we have Emily here with the Mass Supplier Diversity Office, and we're going to be talking a little bit about once you get NGLCC certified, what are some of the next steps that you can actually do with your certification. We will have the chat open. I'm just going to make sure that everybody can use the chat function. And also we'll have the Q&A function open. So if you have any questions or comments at any points during the webinar, you can either type your questions into the chat or you can type them into the Q&A section. And if you use the Q&A section, there is an option to make it anonymous if you'd like to, and we can answer your questions that way. So anyway, with that being said, I will hand over the reins to Emily.
Good morning, afternoon. We're in that weird limbo period. How y'all doing today? My name is Emily McGuire. I'm with the Massachusetts Supplier Diversity Office. So we're going to be talking about diversity certification today. We will talk a little bit about certification with the SDO, certification with our third-party certifiers, like our fabulous hosts here. And then we're also going to chat about combis and some tips and tricks to use that if you guys are unfamiliar or overwhelmed by the state procurement system. And then of course Q&A. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but I will also preemptively say I do a ton of one-on-ones. So if you are just digesting information at your leisure, question comes up later, or if you feel more comfortable waiting to just chat with me, send me an email. It'll be at the end of the presentation. And we can set up a meeting, just the two of us, to go over whatever you want to talk about. So let's rock and roll. All right, so today's goals, we kind of chatted about these already. Intro to the SDO, diversity certification, combis, and then next steps for you once you're certified. So we like to start pretty much every presentation we do with this fabulous quote from our governor, Governor Maura Healey. It really just reflects really the mission of the Supplier Diversity Office. We are solely established to help small and diverse businesses compete in state contracting. We do resources, we do events, we do webinars, but ultimately we want to see you guys succeed, and we're here to help you however we can do that. So the Supplier Diversity Office was previously under the Operational Services Division. This is the department that manages all of the statewide contracts, all the procurement for executive agencies. They manage the combis website. But we were kind of given our own department to really focus on certifying diverse and small businesses. So we manage the supplier diversity programs that we'll talk about in a bit. And ultimately, we work to increase the participation of diverse and small businesses in state procurement. So some of our programs that we're going to chat about today, I have a little bit more detail on the first two, because those are really the bread and butter after certification. So we have the Supplier Diversity Program, the Small Business Purchasing Program, the Municipal Construction Affirmative Marketing Program, or NCAMP, and the Individuals with Disabilities in State Contracting Program. So the SDP, which we will, like I said, get into a little bit more detail, is for large procurements over $250,000. And that is an annual spend. Our goal with this program is to get small businesses, diverse businesses onto state contracts as either prime vendors or their diversity partners. The Small Business Purchasing Program is for the other side of that token. It's for procurements under $250,000, where we're looking to have executive agencies spend with Massachusetts small businesses. MCAMP is a program where we pursue metrics with diverse and small businesses, particularly minority businesses, in the construction of municipal buildings like schools and libraries. And the Individuals with Disabilities program, which is my program, we have kind of two sides to that as well. We work to get disability-owned businesses and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses, excuse me, onto state procurement and contracts. But then we also have some large statewide contracts where I work with vendors to diversify their workforce with folks who just happen to have disabilities. So soft plug for myself, if any of your firms are interested in learning more about those resources, I'm more than happy to share with you as well. The state has quite a bit to offer for firms looking to diversify their workforce, which is really cool. So this is the directory of certified businesses. This ties into that first program, the SDP, Supplier Diversity Program. So once you're certified, either directly with the SDO or with one of our third-party certifiers, our partnering certifiers, you get put on this fabulous list. And this is publicly accessible. This is on our website. And to be quite honest with you, it's used more often by private industry than public agencies. Every event that I go to, we are told, oh my gosh, thank you for putting this list together. Because essentially we've done the work, or and Mass NGLGCC has done the work to verify that these are legitimate, diverse business owners and their enterprises. So private institutions love to use this because they can just piggyback off of our work and spend with folks that they're looking to spend with. So the relation to the supplier diversity program here is, in order to be an SDP partner, which is when a prime vendor on a big statewide contract subcontracts to a smaller business for ancillary services. In order to be considered an SDP partner, that small business has to be on this list. So if you're looking to get into state contracting as a prime vendor, or as one of those partners to kind of dip the toe into procurement with the Commonwealth, this is where you do it. This is where you get the information to find a partner. So this is a really big part of what happens after you get certified. And then third-party recognition with us, you get on this fabulous list. It's my favorite thing, if you can't tell. So small business verification, this is for the SBPP, the Small Business Purchasing Program. Once again, just a little blurb at the top, that's for small procurements under 250,000. The requirements to participate in this program are a little bit different than SDP. You have to be a Massachusetts-based business, having been in business for at least 1 year, with 50 full-time employees or less, and with an average revenue of $15 million over 3 years, as reported to the Department of Revenue. The application, I guess you could say, to be part of this is through the SDO website. We do have a link at the bottom of this page. I will send out this slide deck, but it's pretty easy compared to certification. It's like very, very quick. Look, we're just getting your information and then verifying it with the Department of Revenue. So the SBPP, if it's something you're interested in, is a very quick process. Definitely something to take advantage of. And then, of course, our bread and butter diversity certification. So I'm sure a lot of you, if not all of you, are already certified, but it's really important to note that you can be eligible for multiple certifications, and one agency might not certify all categories. So we have a good little Reader's Digest here for certification options with the SDO. MBE, WBE, VBE are all done with us. You can certify directly with the SDO. Service disabled veteran, disability owned, and LGBT businesses utilize our third-party partners. And those are outlined here. So if you have a certification with any of these organizations and you're like, I want to work with the state next, and I want to get on that listing, and I want to be an SBPP, you can use these certifications to apply for third-party verification with the SDO. We do not want you to have to go through the process all over again if you've already done it. So we've partnered with all of these agencies and organizations to have a reciprocal agreement, essentially. If you've certified with them, come to us. It's a free verification, just as the certification is free for us. And of course, you don't have to attend a webinar, which we'll get into later. That is a requirement for certifying directly with the STO. You have to attend one of our webinars. If you certify with any of these third-party organizations, you do not have to attend that. So for internal certification directly with the STO, we have some basic qualifications that may or may not be similar or exactly the same to other organizations. Eligible owners must be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. We have an asterisk here to note the fact that we had a public hearing a little bit ago to expand that definition to individuals residing under the color of law. That change is currently with the governor's office, but I highlight it here to make it clear that we are very well aware that minority business owners might not always meet this current definition, and we want to support them in state procurement just as much as any other small business. Independent control of the managerial, financial, legal, and operational expertise of the ongoing business. This is an important stipulation because it has been done that folks put the majority of ownership onto an individual who can get a diversity certification. We like to use the example of an electrical business. If there are two owners, but the majority owner, the 51% owner, does not have the licensure and cannot do the work of the business without their partner, they do not have that independent control factor. So when we're talking about SDO certification, that is something we verify through our interview process, which we'll get into a little bit. But it's important to note that for-profit and nonprofit, you need to have at least 51% ownership or 51% of board and voting body, I can never say that, membership in order to be the individual going through with the application. And then our internal certification process, this is if you are not doing third party. So let's say you have your certification with the Mass NGLCC and you want to go to the SDO for an MBE or WBE certification. That's minority business or women business. This is what your process would look like. You would have to attend that pre-certification webinar I mentioned. The next available webinar is January 30th. And I put that in there because we talked about the third party. If you guys are in a time crunch and you're like, I need to get on this contract or I need to get certified to be an SDP partner, look at some of the other third party verification organizations that we work with, because they don't have that webinar as a condition of application. Just worth considering. Although our webinar is fabulous, I will say. So in that, we talk about the application process and the required documents. The next step for that would be to prepare your documents for your business, ensuring they're complete. And of course, everything is a digital upload now. So I recommend to folks, you have a year after you attend the webinar to submit your documents. In the time that you take, go through and put something on your desktop, put all those documents together, review them, and then re-review them. So your certification is not delayed by a slight error, because we would have to send it back to you and it would be such a pain in the butt. So I encourage you to take all the time you need to do certification with us because you have that full year. And then once you're all ready to go, you submit that application. Once that's submitted, we have a certification investigator who is assigned to your case. It is an incredibly overinflated title, although our certification investigators are incredibly thorough. They are not intimidating. It is a conversation. It's very low key, nothing to stress about. And they just basically go through all your paperwork with you. They ask questions about that independent control factor, that 51% ownership. And then if you might need to supply some additional information, they'll ask you at that point as well. And then finally, you get to your results. The SDO will send you a letter of approval or ineligibility. And then if you're approved, you attend our new vendor onboarding workshop and you get your name on that fabulous directory. This is redundant to a lot of you guys, I'm sure, because if you've already certified or if you've looked into certification, you know the benefits. But essentially with the SDO, whether you're doing certification directly with us or through one of our third parties, you're building trust, you're unlocking opportunities, you're expanding your network, and you're increasing marketability. There's a lot of conscious consumers right now that want to see, if you're claiming that you're this type of business, they want proof in the pudding. And we actually give you a brand logo that you can put on all your marketing materials that says you're SDO certified. And that does carry legitimacy, as it does with all of our other partnering organizations, which is why we've partnered with them. We put in the work to verify your business is what you say it is, and that can be used to just make your business look even better than it already is. Like I said, I am going to send this out to y'all so you can access the links. SEO has a ton of trainings, a ton of resources. They are all accessible, so they're screen reader friendly. We really make sure that folks can get all the information they need to succeed in state procurement. So that we talked about the workshop webinar. We talked about the vendor onboarding. The final three that we have listed here, SDO overview, the SDP program overview, and then the finding SDP partners, really, really valuable resources to check out because it'll answer all of your questions. Things are easy to do once you can find where to do them. That is the plight of the Massachusetts websites. These will tell you where to go, what to do, how to use it. So you don't have to stress, which is what we want. We don't want stressed out vendors. All right, so now we're going to shift a little bit into talking about Combis. So Combis is, like I said, owned and operated by the Operational Services Division. They have quite a few resources and information available for you guys to review. I am going to pop open their screen really quick so I can just show you in real time where to find that, because once again, it's easy to use once you can find it. But before we open that up, just to clarify, Combis is used by executive branch agencies because they're required to use statewide contracts for products and services. And even ones that are not on statewide contracts, so smaller procurements, that still goes through a public bidding process. And purchasing is done through this portal. It's also important to note that quasi-government agencies and municipalities often use Combis as well. So they would post a bid on here, a bid solicitation, let you know it's up there. It might redirect you to a different place to actually submit your documents or to get in contact with someone. But Combis is wonderful because it's really a hub for all types of procurements to do with state government, not just executive agencies. It extends to some other folks as well. So let us hop into Combis. I have it up and running. Not this one. This one. Alrighty. So this is the Combis landing page. If you guys are certified and you're like, I want to be a vendor, you would register as a vendor up here under supplier registration. All you need is a tax ID. It takes 5 minutes. Super, super quick. Looking up bid solicitations is available here. You can see some that I've already put in when I've done one-on-ones with other businesses. You can also go into the advanced section here where you can put particular departments, agencies, municipalities. So it's, pretty straightforward once you get into the advanced section. My favorite part about Combis for a vendor is this section right here. So vendor resources, the trainings that they have on here are incredible. These are the best trainings that they offer, and they will answer any single question you have. One of their trainers, her name is Erin Powers. She is absolutely fabulous. If you can attend a training with anyone, attend it with her. She will answer any question you have. And I am not exaggerating. We do a lot of tandem presentations. She blows me away every time. The other side of this page has statewide contract purchasing links. One of them is the contract user guide. We're going to click on one of these just to check it out. We'll go into, so this is by category. Each type of contract has its own identifier with 3 letters. There's not a contract for every type of service, and that's important to note. That being said, you could still be solicited for your services on a bid from a municipality, from a quasi-government agency. If you're like a healthcare agency, we don't have a contract for that, but the Department of Public Health will post bids specific to nursing and healthcare services that would not be available here. That is a little bit of a hefty thing to go through, but if your ears perked up at that, send me an email. We can do a one-on-one and I can show you exactly where to find all that. But for general contracts, statewide contracts, stuff like that, we have all of these guys. So we're just going to go into office supplies because I'm familiar with this contract. Facilities general, but we're going to go into OFF. And then there's like the Russian nesting doll nature of the contract user guides is really intense. There's a ton of contracts all the time. So if you're like, man, I don't want that contract, look at another one. It might apply to you. The contract user guide, it kind of jumped to a section, but this is the vendor list. So this is the ongoing contract. It's closed. It's not open for bidding, but these are the folks who got on it. If you want to be an SDP partner, this is where you should go. Because you can contact all these people and say, hey, I'm a certified business with the SDO, and I want to work with you guys and be your SDP partner. Here's what I have to offer. Might be applicable to you. You could cold call all these people if you want to. But this is the part of the SDP program that's important to note. So when you're a prime vendor, part of your bid is you have to commit a percentage for SDP. So Bay State Envelope has a 10% SDP commitment. That means for every, oh man, I'm not even going to try to do math. Every dollar that they get, 10% of that dollar has to then be spent with an SDP partner. So that could mean quite a bit of money without being a prime vendor. Granted, we want to support you to be a prime vendor too. So if you're interested in that, being familiar with the SDP program is incredibly important. But like I said, you can absolutely go through these. You can go through every single contract if you want to and reach out to these vendors to potentially be an SDP partner. And that's a great way to get started with state contracting. If you guys get nauseous with scrolling, close your eyes because I'm going to fly to the top. This is the first page of a contract. It will always look like this no matter what the contract. It's important because it has the initial contract term. So you know that if you're like, man, I want in on OFF 53, this contract ends in 2029. So 45 days before the contract end or before a contract is renewed or reopened, if that is applicable, you will get a notification on Combis based off of the codes that you put in for UNSPSC. Combis is smart in that it will match codes for a contract with the codes that you put into your profile when you first make it. You can change them, you can update them, but this is how you would be notified about this upcoming contract. If you have 441200 on your profile, you would get a notification that says, hey, this is coming up. The bid notice has been posted. Get your ducks in a row, start checking it out. Also, it has contract manager information. So for some contracts, I'm not sure what the threshold is, forgive me. There are sometimes bidders conferences. And bidders conferences are something that, you can attend if you're interested in being a bidder. If you're like, man, I want to know if OFF 53 has one, you can reach out to the contract manager and say, hey, is there going to be a bid conference? I'd really like to attend. That's a great way to get questions answered about your bid package, about specific requirements of what's supposed to be submitted. It's incredibly, incredibly helpful. There's also a whole bunch of other stuff in here that I won't bore you to tears with, but this contract user guide and all of the things in the table of contents, reviewing them in anticipation of submitting a bid package will really, really help you succeed. You're going to become more familiar with this contract than even the contract manager if you go through it in enough time anticipating your bid. So like I said, between the vendor trainings that OSD has to offer and then these fabulous contract user guides, going through them, digesting the information will help you succeed in ways that I really can't even articulate. This has been the most feedback I've heard from successful vendors are from these two areas in OSD's Combis system. We're going to flip back to the presentation. So that is kind of a Combis overview, but for like the millionth time, I will say, if you have specific questions that I'm not getting into here, reach out to me. We can meet, I can send you an email, whatever. So when we're talking about selling to the state, there's the contract prime vendor. That is, you're selling products and services directly to the state. You're bidding on statewide or departmental contracts. And it's important to note, you do not need to be SDO certified to bid directly on these contracts. It will help you, but it's not going to make or break your application and your bid. The other side of that is the supplier diversity partner. You do have to be SDO certified to provide products and services to those prime vendors on statewide contracts, those ancillary services. Just to put some stuff on your radar about upcoming opportunities with the state, we have reopened some really hefty tradespersons contracts. That's TRD 02 for asphalt paving, carpentry, excavation, masonry, and septic, and TRD 04, which is cleaning, restoration, compressor, kitchen exhaust, pump and motor, roofing, and biohazard site cleaning. New contracts that are going to be coming up in the next year or two: clothing and uniforms, IT staff augmentation, AV supplies and services, advertising, marketing, event planning. That's a really big one. And enterprise temporary help. There's also one coming up a little bit farther down the line for electric vehicles. I've had a lot of folks reach out to me about that. So, like I said, when we were going through the contract user guides, there's contracts open all the time for almost everything. So if you need some help in how to get there, everything we just went through will help you. So you want to be a prime contractor with us? Here are your steps for success. Registering for that Combis account, that was that supplier registration button right at the top of the page. Review those contract user guides and then re-review them. And then examine RFR documents. So that's request for response. Those are available under that search key that we looked at, as well as once you register for that account, you would be sent information about the upcoming bid. The RFRs would be part of that information sent to you. And then attend those free trainings offered by OSD and SDO. And yes, I realize that we picked the worst letters that are also the letters of the organization we were once under. I don't know, man. But there's so many trainings available between both of our organizations. And then the opportunity to ask questions. You really can't fail. If you know where to look and you know what to ask and you're really taking in all the information available to you, you will succeed. And then contact, that's my email right there. I will send something out to Gabby and team so they can send you a copy of the presentation because it has all those really good links in there. But send me an email if you need anything, you want to chat, I'm around. And that is it for me. Do you guys want to get into the Q&A? I know we have at least one in the chat. Let's check it out. The contact information. Oh, Angie, thank you. I had so much coffee, it's insane. So Melise, I hope I'm saying that correctly. If you want to reach out to me about fixing the contact information in your directory, in our directory, I will loop you into the right person. We have amazing response in the SDO, but I never like to just give an email. I like to do the soft introductions so the person knows I sent you as well. So I'll put my email again in the chat. If you just want to send me that question, I'll forward it to the right person, okay? Cool, yeah. We have one in Q&A. Okay, so if you were recently certified, this is a question in the Q&A from Chris. I will read it out. He says he's not listed. He's surprised because he was recently. What do I do? I'm just going to answer it verbally if that's cool. So it is important to note that certification only lasts 3 years. You do have to recertify. So if that time has lapsed, if maybe you missed recertification, if you certified with another agency, but you did not do third party with us, that could create an issue, but everything can be fixed. So just go ahead and reach out to me again and I will connect you with that right person and we can just get down to what happened. Sometimes stuff just happens. You didn't oh, I'm so sorry, Chris. You did your training a long time ago. Okay. Yeah, that's a tricky one. I will help you figure it out. I can't give you a straight answer right now just because I don't know all the factors, but we can figure it out. No issue. And apologies. Sorry about that. So James asked a question. They said, when I type Combis into my browser, I go into the sign-in page and not the portal you showed in the webinar. This sounds like a really goofy solution, but I would actually look up Combis MA in Google and go to that link, because there might be, somebody else might have Combis. I'm not sure if that's exactly the right URL that you listed in the question, James, but definitely just do Combis MA in Google and it'll link you to the first thing is correct. My God, you guys, I'll try searching it. Awesome, James. Thank you. I've never used the Q&A thing. This is awesome. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff out there for you guys. And I will also say the certification can do a lot for you that I can't necessarily put in a presentation. I can't pick favorite vendors. I can't pick favorite banks or banking institutions, but in my experience doing events with Gabby, we go to them often together. Vendors are present, buyers are present, but so are banks and lenders. Certification can help you get specific business loans because they want to see that you are certified, and that is a verified certification. So there's an option for that too. Something else that the certification can help you with is some lending opportunities if that's something you're interested in. And then of course there's federal certification as well with the Small Business Administration. They have set aside contracts for women and minority businesses. So you could always, connect with me. I can send you the info to our SPA partners so you can work on certification with them if you're interested on the federal level. If you win or lose a bid, how are you notified? Do you need to keep checking the portal every day? That's a great question. So typically I recommend folks check their portal, their profile at least once a week. When it comes down to crunch time, when bids are being awarded, you will get notified via email. You will get notified via the Combis system. But let's get ahead of it. After the bid closes, and another important thing to note is the language Massachusetts uses is Commonwealth forward. So when it says bid opening date, that is when the Commonwealth closes bid applications and they open them. So that is the end date. Does that make sense? A lot of times folks see bid opening date as, oh my gosh, it's open, now I can apply. It is the opposite. Definitely put in your bids before the opening date because that's actually when we open them and things are closed for submission. But back to James's question, they asked about notification of approval or denial of a bid. You'll get notified a handful of ways, but I usually tell folks, keep an eye on it, the weeks following the closure date or the bid opening date. So that decision is coming soon. But you will be notified in a handful of ways. Yes, you will also get an email if you were not selected for a bid, just to clarify.
Awesome. If there's no last minute questions, feel free to reach out to me or to Emily if you think of anything coming up. And yeah, I think that's about it from our end. Everybody have a great rest of your day and join us for the third installation of what to do with your certification, which will be October 30th, also at noon. And that'll be more about Combis and what you can do with that.
Awesome. Make sure you attend that, guys. That one is going to be really good. I can guarantee it.
All right. Have a great rest of your day.